Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Save a Seat series here on Patreon. As always, I am your podcast host, Chloe, and we are continuing our Issue 10 Contributor Chat series where we sit down with the people who made Issue 10 happen, who contributed their stories and pieces of their lives to make a full, rounded article talking about influence, whatever that means for them. And today I am joined by Heather, who wrote The View from the Porch. Thank you so much for joining me again.
Thanks, Chloe. Excited to be here.
So happy to have you. We love sitting down with our contributors and figuring out the stories behind the stories. And as we talked about in the Spotify episode, which if you haven't listened to that, definitely go take a look at that first, listen to it, and then you can come back to this one. It's going to make a lot more sense. But we talked about what your article was all about, how Porch became what it is today and how it's still growing and changing, and what it means to take a step back and figure out how can I be intentional? How can I find a peaceful mindset? So we're going to get a little bit more into that in our Dig Deeper episode today, because the latter part of your article talks about some of the things that you do to be intentional, to find that peaceful mindset. So I would love for you to just touch on some of those pieces and tell us, how you do that, how you're intentional about those things. So the first thing you mentioned is having a healthy perspective. So, tell us a little bit about that. What does that mean to you to seek a healthy perspective?
Yeah. So I think, as you alluded to, if you checked out the Spotify podcast and talked about how photography is my background and shooting on the farm, particularly that summer, I have two photos that are a great visual representation of this. And one, it's out by the pond, and I was shooting on a long lens, and I was kind of level to the pond to get the reflection of the trees. And in the first photo, I focus on the image in the reflection, the trees, which is so clear that it actually it doesn't look like a reflection. So if you turn it upside down, it's a fun illusion like that.
Mhm.
And then the other one actually focuses on the water's edge, where you can it's barely even visible that they're trees. It's very blurry. And so I think that to me, I just remember going back and forth between the photos. And it's like what you focus on gives you perspective. And I think that is so true. And I think that and what's important in that too is it's a reflection of and reminder what you focus on shapes your perspective. So be careful what you focus on and be careful how you're shaping your perspective, because it kind of becomes your reality. And also remember that there's multiple perspectives out there. I think that's something like I notice, like for me, I can get stuck on thinking sometimes that my perspective is just that, and that's the truth in the world. It's one of those. And then I'm like, oh yeah, let me just unstick my brain for a second and think about how many is a kaleidoscope of perspectives out there, and then how that perspective I'm holding is shaping my mindset. So I think that there's kind of two ways to look at that, but both really help loosen your I think your grip on things and allow you to stay more agile and flowy, which, as we kind of talked about, it's incredibly important personally, professionally, all those different things.
Yeah.
So some of the practices in which I love that, obviously, like photography, because it's literally like what you choose to focus on is shaping your perspective. I mean, with photojournalism background, that's a story. So, I remember I love shoot the action, but reaction can be just as important. Or if you're
Right.
able to get a little bit of both, and then what you're focusing on, like in the foreground or background, again, it's the perspective that shapes the story. And then I also really enjoy headstands. That's something that just is obviously an immediate perspective change,
Right.
and is a very good core workout. It's a good kind of yoga meditative practice, as well as just general creating and whatnot. So being in a state of creativity, are things that really just help ground me in my perspectives, and really just have a good relationship with perspective.
Yeah, I think it's super invaluable to give yourself those opportunities to see things in new light and reset yourself so that you don't become stagnant. I think
Yeah.
change is definitely very important because the world around us continues to change. We have to adapt to it, right? Another thing we touched on previously.
I would say another one that I've really focused on in the last year or two is making sure to, in my communities, friendship, families, business communities, team members, fostering an environment that feels very safe for feedback. I think that very safe for feedback and very open to be reminded of perspective by those around you. I think that like that, all of a sudden it's not only getting out of your head of your perspective, but like remembering how much those can benefit you. And being able to be open to those and like really hearing people. I think that's one of the fastest ways in a lot of ways to kind of remember those things and to be grounded. In that is, just being around people that have different perspectives and knowing that that's okay and being able to say, you know what, I think you're an idiot, but I'm not going to say anything.
And if I'm challenging your worldview, maybe consider it. I don't know.
Yeah. Or like, oh, you know what? I'm the idiot here and I don't have to say anything. I can own it and like maybe do something about it so I don't get called out. So I think it's just that like, just being in community and not being afraid, like to get out and have those conversations. I mean, we've been working on a lot of stuff with engagement with clients because I do think almost post-COVID, folks, you have your extroverts, your networkers, it's kind of been out, but now we got a little bit more chaos with some stuff and some conflict going on. And I think that creates more fear for people to put themselves out there and connect because people aren't always the most gentle, but that's how humans are.
Yeah. And it's good to surround yourself with people who can be gentle, but also tell you when you're wrong.
Yeah. If they can be gentle and tell you when you're wrong, stick around those people because it's the spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Right. Some people though, I feel like will give so much sugar that I'm like, I miss the medicine, bro. Like, what were you trying to tell me? I got like a sugar high after that, and like no medicine happened.
Oh, they mean well though.
Yeah, I know, right? Thank you. I think, no, definitely nice.
So the next thing you touch on is nourishing your spirit, which we've definitely talked about on this podcast before. It's such an important thing, but tell us how you nourish your spirit. What does that mean for you?
To me, this is one that like, when I forget to nourish my spirit, I feel it the fastest in my like peace of mind and peace in body, like just overall that and like physical meditation, drinking water, exercise. But outside of that, really to be able to create and be around art. And I mean, I for a period was, kind of going through some lows, and I was joking. I was like, I'm going to art like it's my church. I was like, get it in my blood. I'm going, I got like the IRT on Thursday. I got dance Friday, Newfield Saturday, like all just to receive it. And then I love to create it, to cook, to open my door, cook for friends, bring people in, host. To me, that's all just caring, and it's just warmth and spirit. Going to the pottery studio. I love throwing clay. It's just such a meditative thing. And then to glaze and kind of get into that, it's just really enjoyable. So I think for me, nourishing spirit really is just the feels. It's it's absorbing the sun and nature, and just really feeling your battery just go. And those are the things that really kind of do it for me. It would definitely be the nature and arts.
Yeah.
And then just, that meditative, you really can't beat exercise and water. Like, it's amazing how simple that is and how hard it can be. Shout out to everybody who's like diligent about their water. There's a whole collective gang of women walking around with their big mugs of water. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not on that. I'm one that I'm like, I don't really carry around a lot. I don't really like, if I've got myself together to move through spaces, that's usually an accomplishment.